Okay, so the speedrun.com has RTA and SS. They're saying the timing is when you confirm new game, time ends with the final hit on Ultimecia. But that's really all the rules they give. They also say the timer does not have to be showed on the video, but the time must be verifiable. And specific rules, hardware manipulation is banned, so no screwing around with your PlayStation. And turbo controller is banned. And you're allowed to use any version of PlayStation 1 or any version of PlayStation 2. Now, you see a lot of these top times are on a 9,000 or 90,001. I have a 77,001. And I went into the Discord and I asked, so really how much of a time loss am I looking at here? And they said there's really not much here. You're going to lose time on the quality of your discs more than anything. So we'll have to see how my discs hold up. Who knows? So yeah. So you also see there is a cards, Q plus Z or just Q on here. And that's whether you're getting Quistis and Zell card or you're just getting the Quistis card. It's up to you. There's routes for both of them. And there's just a little bit of RNG that you have to deal with if you want both of them. So let me go ahead and see if I can pull up. Let's go ahead to Luz's video. Where did I put that? Downloads, utility. So there's a crap ton of information and resources on speedrun.com. If you go into resources or guides, there's a ton of just helpful information that so many runners put together. There's comprehensive guides made by many runners. There's single runner guides for different categories, for different tricks that you want to do by themselves, for encompassing all the tricks. There's tons of information. It can be a little overwhelming when you first look at it. I know it was for me when I first started. But there is this program called... Can I open you as... Yes. Okay. Oi. Now can I add window capture, add source, FF8 utilities, add source. Oh. Yes. Okay. So, for those of you who do know Final Fantasy VIII, you know of the card game, Triple Triad. Wonderful game. Gotta love the game, right? They all run on PS2? Yes, because PS2 is faster. I think you can actually set your disk speed that way. Also, I should probably add filters so that this is render. Sorry I didn't have all this prepared beforehand. I was not feeling well today. Oh, no. It took me a while just to get physically able to run Goof Troop earlier. 100 and 100. Okay. And let's put this. There. Okay, so FF8 utilities, there's a couple things it does. And part of it is in a separate program. If you want to just run that, it's in Ruby, which is like Windows PowerShell kind of stuff, which if you're not familiar with computers, but you can read information and figure out how to do it. This itself also runs code for you. So when you start the game, one of the very first things you're going to do is get your cards, and you're going to go try to get the Quistis card. And you're going to notice a pattern based off of the first card in the person you play's hand, and that's when you're going to choose, is it Elastoid, Malboro, or Biggs and Wedge? And based off that, it'll tell you where to put your cards to win that round. So this is extremely useful and very, very helpful. Now, well, Ping, you are incorrect. In any case, once you have that, later in the run, you have Zell. And Moddinct is a pain in the butt because you've done a lot since the beginning of the game. For the Quistis card, you're just coming out of the classroom and you're going to go get the Quistis card. There's not much else to it. You've got these 3 choices as long as you follow what the guide tells you to do, and you get the Quistis card. Moddinct is usually a first try or second try kind of thing. And from what I remember, trying to do a first try is more difficult than the second try. It depends on how you set up the RNG. But in any case, what you do is you if you want, that's probably not showing up, is it? No. Okay, so when you click let's add this because you're gonna want to see this. Let's 2. Okay, so when you click on that little square next to the RNG, what's it called? RNG modifier, this whole window pops up. And this is where you input the things that happened since you started the game. How many times on these 2 bats that you're going to fight to draw Thunder off of did Squall attack? What was the fanfare character at the end of the battle looking like? Was it on 1 character or 2 characters? How many limits? How many Squall attacks? How many times Ifrit punched in the Ifrit fight? How many times you got hit by a Buell when you're leaving? And then how many encounters, number, the quantity, and the fish fins, because you're going to have 3 Festivitocalan fights. What did the camera do on those? And how many Squall physicals? How many limits? Whatever. And that's going to give you some RNG value. Then you've got Dale, and a Condor, Elray, and Spider Tank stuff. It's a lot. Now, that's pretty insane, no? And I'm going to have to go back and I'm going to have to watch the video and the code, try to figure it out, but I believe that's all for first try Zell card. But if you don't pay attention to that, you can always do second try Zell card. Yeah, then. Okay, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to actually show this to you right now. I'm going to have to look in to see how to get it working, because I didn't set this up ahead of time. And maybe I'll show it on the next video. But that's assuming all that you track all that stuff and it gives you some number as an RNG value, and then you would put it into here. It's optional. But when you hit submit, it brings up a Windows command prompt. And what that gives you is it asks you what is in the first fight, I think. I gotta remember. It asks you what's in the first fight. You input that information, the first card game, I mean. And then based on that, it calculates where your RNG actually is. And so on the second fight, the second try, you talk to Ma Dingt, and there's this ASCII bar that goes across the screen, and you have a marker. And when that bar has that marker within it, you hit play against Ma Dingt. And when you do that, that gives you the Zell card chance. And then you have to beat her, and you get the Zell card. And we'll go through why the Zell card's important and why the Quistis card is important, but we'll do that during the run. Okay. That's tool assist number 1. Tool assist number 2. Towards the end of disc 1, when you are going to D-Ling City, you're supposed to go talk to General Caraway. But to get into there, there's a guard guarding the mansion that requires you to get a student ID number from a gunblade in the Tomb of the Unknown King. Soldier. King. Tomb of the Unknown King. And so you go there. It's right in the entrance, basically. But you can also get the Brothers GF. You come back out, whatever. You can actually figure out what that code is prior to even going to there. Prior to even getting to D-Ling City. That's like the super hard stuff, rampant. This stuff is easy over here. So the Caraway code, and Fee will like this because Fee likes trains, you can derive that from the train. The first time you get on the train to go to D-Ling City, Urban goes in to talk to Selphie. And I guess technically that's the second time you get on the train. Whatever. There's these pillars that come by in the window when you enter that screen. And what you do is you count how many poles. So it's kind of like Morse code in that there's poles constantly coming, and then there's a pause, and then more poles. And you have an option. You can sit there and wait and see this whole cycle repeat, or you go through the cutscene and you exit as quick as you can. And you'll just have certain options based on what you actually saw. And it'll fill out the rest of it. So let's just say I saw this. I'm having a bad time showing this. Unless it's too much for it. Really? Okay, obviously I'm going to have to figure out how to use this again. Huh. Yeah, but it is the lamppost in there. I'm gonna have to look this up, figure out how to use it. It's been 2 years. Yeah, it's been 2 years since I used this. So we'll look that up for next time too. Anyway, that spits out what the code's gonna be, and then you just have to give it to the guard. And you never even have to go to the Tomb of the Unknown King. You missed out on that GF, but life goes on. Lastly, at the end of the game, Ultimecia. You only have so many GFs and whatnot at your disposal throughout the entire run. And based on that, certain characters get certain GFs at very key points with certain junctions. And that's all fine and dandy. For the most part, you can plan that stuff. But when you get to Ultimecia's castle, you have to split into 2 parties, which you do at other points in the game. And then you get to the final boss of the game, and that's where you fall apart, usually, because Ultimecia takes 3 random characters in your party. And with everything going on in the run up to that point, there's no way to tell what that RNG is. unless you pay attention. So there's a... Are you guys still seeing this? Let me make sure you're still seeing this. Okay. So you hit launch timer, and it says click in the input box to focus, then use WASD or numpad to input directions. So this is disabled on PC. Instead, hard reset outside castle and draw 3 times before the bridge. Okay. So you can't, I guess you can't do this for the PC, although I'm pretty sure you could. I don't know. In any case, as you're going to time compressed world, you're all free falling. And in that, while Squall is free falling, his head will go up, back, left, or right. And the camera's going nuts during that whole thinking cutscene. But you can still kind of see what he's doing. And so you'll input on a numpad or WASD what he's doing. And once that's done, you hit submit, and it'll tell you what your RNG is. And because you're only going to be doing 2 specific boss fights and then going to Ultimecia, this program will spit out exactly what you need to do to make sure you get the party that you want when you fight her. Alternatively, if you want to set the RNG and not pay attention to that, like it says here, you save at the save point outside the castle, then do a hard reset. That resets your RNG, and then there's a draw point in the clock tower that will increment your RNG to where you need it if you draw 3 times right before you get to the final boss fight. So, okay, that's what this does. This is all for Disc 1, and then finally again on Disc 4 right at the end of the game. I'm going to have to look more into this when we go through it, but I'm just going to kind of close this for now because we don't necessarily need it. Okay, let's get started. Let's see how far we get. I mean, I spent a little bit of time there kind of just talking about what it was, but we'll see how far we get. What am I missing in chat here? Okay, so yeah, so hyper risks are indeed 60%. Strength 60 is definitely important. It's not like we're going to be at crazy high level whenever we're fighting these bosses, and so as this is Final Fantasy VIII, you know that the enemies and the bosses scale with your level. So if we can super junction ourselves and still be a low level, we should be able to fly through enemies. Final boss and all the sorceress fights that we have leading up to that, it's super scary. It's a nightmare. Stuff can go wrong. Stuff went wrong 2 years ago for me. So you guys were all adding to the community goal. Hi, Scar and Wise, welcome in. Level 700, do you get XP? I don't remember. We do get some experience because we need AP. Our last fight, if I remember correctly, our last our last random encounter that we're trying to dodge happens at the end of D District Prison. Once we get out of that, we'll have no more random encounters in the game. Except for Esther, when we need a little more AP. But most of everything else is just AP we get from boss fights and whatnot. Okay. Let's get this started. What you doing, Luz? Yep, there's a step count. So we're going to be walking specifically and running specifically in this run. So yeah, I'll have to look into how to set the disc
PlayStation
speed in
Galaxy?
PlayStation 2.
PlayStation Bluetooth? Hahaha. Shooters, man. De Charlo. De Joker Charlo.
Okay, so what he just did right there was load a save file. It looked like it was in Balamb. And I don't know why. I'm assuming that's because he wanted to set his RNG to something specific. I'll have to ask about that in the Discord.
Camel.
But as you can see, time starts whenever you hit new game. Why is that another runner's name? You're fine, Rampant. You're fine. So we get the very pretty intro video. Get to listen to a little Fithos Luseg Vinikos Venisek. Welcome back, Queenie. And let me know if the volume could be a little louder. I know he's going to be louder than the music, but if you guys want to hear the background track and everything, let me know. No, this isn't Midgar, Lily. So this is nice. This is kind of just like I'm preparing to sit on my booty for 8.5 hours and go through this. So we have some Quistis lovers, we have some selfie lovers. Myself, Renault, a lover. How about the guys in chat? Who's the favorite guys we have? It's gotta be Squall, right? Hey, Rowan, let's be a little nicer. I mean, you're not wrong, Ben. You're no good boys in FF8. But angst. Angsty teens. 10% of Cypher or Irvin. Alright, let's settle this right now so we get into the name fight. Is it Irvin or Irvine? Talk to me, people.
Yo, Westbird, Tooth, thank you.
Oh, you know what I should do? I should probably open up the stinking guide so I know what the heck I'm talking about. There we go. Oh, sorry. Yes. What the heck is this? Alright, 1 second. Oh wow, what the heck? Alright, we're gonna go off this. This is a pretty looking guide. Okay, then load this up. And there we go. Okay, Back to the run. Squall's getting all fixed up. We know the deal. You're gonna have to input your name. You want Squall to be a single character. So you kind of just triangle. I think it's triangle, and then double tap start, or maybe it's start A. It might be start, not A, X. Start X to go to start or confirm, and then actually confirm. This is the save frames as the run goes on. That's pretty standard for most RPG runs. How long is this run? This run is 8 hours, 19 minutes, 23 seconds. Be alone. And then those that like Quistis, you get the intro here. Don't you ruin this game for me, Lily. Don't you do that. Yeah, so I'll ask Luz's permission to put this on before I actually do. Here you're just walking down. There's nothing special. You're not altering anything. You guys are ruining this game. Alright, so you do have to have inputs to get through the text here. But you walking anywhere isn't relevant to progressing. You just walk down, and then whenever it goes to this kind of rendered cutscene, you're fine. So, when you were all playing this game growing up, how many of you grabbed your GFs from the console versus getting them from Quistis outside right before you leave? So you go in here, you set your controls, your cursor to memory, your Cavern to minimum, your battle speed, battle message, and field message to max, so they go by super, super quick. Where's your faith in the game, then? So yeah, it's faster to get them from Quistis. You don't have to go sit down at your chair, go through the menus that take a while to load. You can actually just get them from Quistis when you get on your way out. Now this one, so growing up, I didn't really know if there was like a relationship, not relationship, but like friendship kind of background point system going on. Here, you don't say anything to Selfie. And then when she asks for a quick tour, you say you don't have the time. And you just move on. That crushed me to do that when I saw the speedrun. I was not used to doing that. Talk to this guy, you get cards for the first time. Oh, super rude. Super rude. Okay. Another mechanic I don't know if you all know about in the game It's simple, so you probably did, and I'm just a moron, but you can warp the places off that center console there. So right off the bat, we're going for Quistis card. You warp the cafeteria. You have to see this cutscene with Cypher, Fusion Invasion. Oh, there's warps, Lily. You don't have to run through the garden every single time.
Dude, I think you don't have to mash to activate this dialogue. I think it triggers if you approach a region without mashing.
Alright, so you're playing with the guy in the back here. Based off, I guess, his RNG that he set up, you start with Quistis. He sees Elastoid as the top card, so he knows where to put these cards. It is absolutely blowing my mind that he's able to handle it like this speed. You get Quistis card. Easy peasy. Now Quistis card turns into Samantha Souls, which I think, if I remember right, you can turn into triples. 60. A Samantha Soul is 60 triples, so you get 180 triples. And it's something that you want to make sure you put them on 3 different characters, because if you put, like, if you try to put the 60 and 60 on a character, you're going to override 20 of them, because you max out at 100 magic on any one single character. 180 triples. But then you do have to run back out, because the center place is the only place you can warp out. And then again, you warp out to the front gate. You get your GFs from Quistis. And then you go on your way. And that's nice. This walkthrough here has it listed out what you need to do. Okay, so right here is where step counting that's not true. That's not true. Step counting starts in Ifrit's Cavern. Here, you want to make sure you're on the road. Whenever you're on the world map, you want to be on the road as much as possible to kind of help yourself from getting into a world encounter.
0.
He didn't get any here. He's happy with that, obviously. Hey, Benjinator swore off what? FF8? After just one run on PC? No, we gotta learn it for for PlayStation. Where I have full control over everything and don't have to have 4 billion different setups on my computer just to be able to handle limiting my frame rate and yada 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 yada. Okay. Set a 10-minute time limit. You get in here. Now, we haven't equipped anything yet. So, step counting starts now. And you'll see as the screen fades in, he's already moving. And you want to do that because on fade in, your steps aren't actually counting. But when the screen is completely there, you are starting to count steps. And on certain walls, you're going to be holding right or down right or whatever. You're going to have to pay attention to that. So on this screen, you go into your menu. Magic draw item for both GFs. Squall gets Shiva. Quistis gets Quetzalcoatl.
Good.
You learn card. You learn ice magic refinery with your AP. So he gets
Jammer. Thanks.
He gets a fight here. It's 2 red bats. You always get 2 red bats in your first fight in here.
Thank you.
And what he's going to be doing is going to be drawing Thunder. And he needs Thunder to, A, have a good damaging way to damage yourself, and B, have something to fight the Thasphistocalans with once you're on the beach. So you want Squall to have 6+ Thunders, you want Quistis to have 4+, and then you want, I think, Squall to kill the final bat, if I remember correctly, but I'm not sure. So that should be the only encounter in here, if he moved properly. He shouldn't have any more encounters on his way up to Ifrit. It's... No.
Yesterday I got 3 times this back attack.
No.
Finding a pattern.
I'll have to double check. In total, you want... I see, I don't remember that from the PC. I remember being able to get... Oh, I see what he's doing. Okay, so this is a strat that's not in the guide, and it's more of like a world record strat. I guess. Yes. Okay, so what's going to happen in the Ifrit fight? I was right before. You only get, I think, at most 3 encounters in Ifrit's Cavern, coming in and going out. I think you're only supposed to get 1 or 2 before and just the 1 after.
This game,
but he's taking the time to get into that other encounter because he's trying to lower his HP to get into Renzakuken range and to also get into Laser Eye range for later with his limit breaks. So his HP is already lower, and it's faster to do it on the bats because their attack animation is much, much shorter than Ifrit's.
Perfect.
So you can use Thunder on yourself here. You want to make sure Squall has 6 still, at least, at the end of the fight, so that you can use those on the Festive Talons. So he's going to Renzakuken here. You'll probably count how much damage you're doing. It takes 18 hits to kill Ifrit. A Rough Divide counts as 1.5 hits. And actually, you don't want Rough Divides in a limit break because it takes a lot of time. It's faster just to do these hits right here. Now, you'll see that he's running from a fight. And Rampant, thank you for saying what you said in chat because that made me think to say this. You're going to have your HP in the yellow or close to yellow a lot. And so if you do go into critical health, you're going to be slumped down on the ground like Quistis is. So if you aren't running away and you attack, there's a whole animation to stand up, ready yourself, and then do your limit break. Whereas if you're running away, you're already standing up, and so you just do the limit break. So you're going to be running away a lot in this run. Okay, so that's great. He's got low HP on both characters. Quistis is in critical health, so she's going to be able to pull off some laser eyes to get to get fish fins on the beach. And Squall is just going to be, at least for right now, casting Thunder on those same enemies. But he's just getting his HP ready for a little bit later. Assuming there is threat manipulation and such to make sure you get the correct... What's LBS, Ben? Alright, so... You do a little bit of GF swap in there. Squall has Quetzalcoatl, or loses Quetzalcoatl, gains Ifrit. Quistis gets Quetzalcoatl. I misspoke earlier too. So Squall had low HP for the Renzakukens, but the fast Talons are actually pretty super dangerous. With the battle speed you have and everything, they're gonna hit. And if you're not thumbing through the controls pretty quick, you're gonna get hit a lot. So at some point, I don't know if he did it, I missed it in the video, he's gonna use a potion on himself to bring his health out of critical. At the very least, that's the safe thing to do. I'll have to see what his HP is at. If he never does, I'm going to assume it's a... Yeah, he's not running through here like I remember how you're supposed to run through here. Oh, okay. As soon as the threat manipulation is such to make sure you get the correct limit breaks from Squall. No. Alright, so he's walking there just to make sure he doesn't get like another random encounter in there. I think. The step counting is a little different compared to sprinting versus walking. So you'd be better off walking, except it's super, super slow. Alright, so you're going to fight 3 Fast Fitzacallan fights. Now that sucks. That's terrifying.
Very much for the raid. Thank you, thank you. Hello.
So you Thunder one.
Hello, Wira.
Quistis Laser Eyes.
Raid.
Thunder, Laser Eye. And you do this because while they're in the ground, they take half damage. And so it wouldn't be enough to kill them. They have a little bit over 300 HP.
Thank you, thank you.
You're just a little short of being able to kill them. So you want 5 fish fins out of these 3 fights. He got 1, so he needs 4 more. And you want this because you're going to end up with Ice Magic Refinery being able to turn the fish fins into water, which is going to be able to boost your attack a lot for, I forget how long into the run. And this is why you want 6 Thunders, so you can do 6 different fish with Squall. How do I know all this? Little under 2 years ago, I learned the PC run.
Okay, good.
It's been 2 years, but I learned it and just ran it once on my birthday, and then never touched it again. But I did spend a month and a half learning it. Not actually playing through a lot of it, but still just kind of taking notes and whatever. And I remember a lot of this stuff. Alright, so he needs at least 2 more. And he learned Ice Magic Refinery. Of course, you spend like a psycho, because it's more entertaining than just running in straight lines up and down the beach. So, in addition to needing 5 fish fins, the reason that you... So even if you got... I think you can... I don't remember. Let's say you got 3 fish fins and 3 fish fins on your first 2 fights. You have more than enough fish fins. You still need the 3rd fight for the AP before you can move on. So, you're automatically going to fight the 3 fights.
Last packet
and
of red Sirius on beach.
If A, you run out of Thunders, or B, you don't get your 5 fish fins, you just reset at this point. Unless you're just doing kind of like a casual fast speed run and you don't care that much about it, but you need your card mod before you actually get back into Balamb.
Good time. Nah, media hora.
The tutorial you skip. Now with this, we're going to be able to meet some more people after you go change in your dorm. Warp at the center thing again. You just hold X there and it'll automatically take you to the dorm. And then you run back down.
Bro, Charlo.
I cannot wait to run this game for everybody. And I'll be absolutely quiet while we listen to the landing, because my gosh, that cutscene with that song is just nostalgic and epic for me. I love it. Alright, so we meet Zell. And then we'll meet Cypher in the, oh gosh, what are they called? Detention Squad or something like that. Yeah, hot dogs! You know, that would definitely be some way for the Final Fantasy outro to end. You got the recording video going on, and they get on Zell, and he's choking on hot dogs, and he just dies right there in front of everybody. I feel bad for Zell. He does get used a tiny bit in this speedrun for his limit break, but out of everybody, I think he gets kind of the short straw. So yeah, one thing. So running this on PC, especially the crappy PC I used to have, was difficult because I couldn't run the PowerShell thing for the Zell card manipulation properly because it was lagged a little bit trying to run the game and this at the same and that PowerShell at the same time. So I would never be able to get it. But so I'd have to have a laptop up running that and hitting A or X at the same time here, making sure it was all lined up. B, you can't hold L2 and R2 at the same time. Vanilla. On the PC game. It doesn't allow you to press those two things at the same time. Not even on the keyboard. And so you'd have to have a background program running to map L2 and R2 to one single key.
Thanks.
And then either press it on your keyboard or do it on the controller. That's kind of a nightmare. C, and number 3, the controls were super confusing to have everything mapped. And there's a couple different controller settings on Steam that you can download for your controller to have it work. But there was, for most of them, there seemed to be something off among all of them. And though you might be able to get something that works for you in that sense, PC version does not operate off of X, triangle, circle, square. It operates off like B0, B1, B2, B3, which button the joypad is. So you have to kind of know that map to your controller. Le nightmare. You're calling Fusion stable. Okay. You do you, then. You do you. Both stable. Okay. I mean, I guess I see what you're doing. Alright. So, typical cutscene. Cypher insults Zell. He freaks out. Squall's keeping to himself. Eventually, you're presented an option of who you want to talk to or say nothing. You choose the final option to say nothing once you get on the submarine. Right now, you're just going to drive to town. You can drive off the road here. You're not going to get into an encounter. It's not going to mess with your step count. You just go straight to Balamb town. You can't get the Zell card yet, so not even going to bother going into the house. You're going to run around to the dock. You're going to go into... Well, I mean, you're going to park at the dock, I mean. You're going to go in there. You're going to get the ship. You're going to get briefed on your mission, and then you're going to go. On there, you're going to choose a last option, and that's going to just continue the story and have you walk outside. VODs is in multiple, Lily? Which ones? She is evolving. All recent ones? Well, cool. GG. Game did give me that no person was the same. I mean, I kind of identified with Squall a little bit when I was growing up.
That's the current status.
I didn't like to let my emotions out, really.
From here?
Like to be a little bit of a loner. Now I got all you lovely people. Alright, now these ships are super narrow, so whenever Zoo has to leave, everybody gotta get up. What's with all this book? So you do nothing. And then you say, okay, first option. He'll get up. You gotta walk down and right to exit. And then the song. I'm turning the volume up. Forgive me. Oh, you're gonna talk during this? I can't do that if you're gonna turn to talk. It's alright, putting them back down. You're an old man now, then. What can I say?
Awesome, thank you. Thank you, thank you.
Okie dokie. Yeah, I mean, I understand. I hadn't really played an RPG. Like, N64, at least for me, didn't have a lot of good RPGs at the time. And I wasn't a PlayStation kid. I saw Final Fantasy VIII for the very first time when my friend brought over his game, and he was fighting Ultimecia and couldn't beat it. And I saw that, and I was like, wow, this looks awesome compared to everything else I've just done. So, having seen that, and then starting from the beginning and seeing this, it blew my mind. Okay, so what's he doing here? He's swapping...
Hesitated, 57?
The equips.
57 HP.
With between Zell and Quistis. So now Zell has everything Quistis did.
Yeah, this is the worst HP you can get.
He put the waters on Squall. He switched to card mod and boost for Shiva and Quetzalcoatl, and Squall was junction for attack. So now Squall whooping up. He's got all those waters.
Let's see.
On his sword.
57 is not low enough to potion.
I think that's when he
not
finally
high
put a potion
enough
on
to
himself,
survive anything.
so that he won't die on the Anacondor or the Elveray. Yeah. Like, I had never played a Final Fantasy aside from... I did play a little bit of Final Fantasy 1 on emulator. I don't really know where that fell compared to when I played this, but I was a Nintendo kid for most of my life. So I had N64. I played the heck out of Quest 64, but if you got Quest 64 versus this... And so yeah, starting with this, I looked at Final Fantasy VII, and that's just... It was hard to go down in graphics for me from this. So I didn't really get latched onto it. And then I never actually got... I still wasn't a PlayStation kid after Final Fantasy VIII. I was still focused on Nintendo and Mario, Zelda, that kind of stuff. It's what I grew up on.
Yeah, that's nice.
Alright, so you can hear him counting right now. So he's actually going for first try Zell. He's counting all this stuff and he's putting it in the program so that he doesn't have to do second try. But yeah, you have these force fights. You're having Zell finish off the fights. I'm assuming... sorry, you're having Squall finish off the fights. And I'm assuming that's because Squall's at a lower level. And so you want to keep your levels pretty low.
Really good fights. Really good fights.
And he's also not pulling the trigger on the Gunblade, because that animation is slightly longer than just a normal attack. So you'll see that as the run goes on, where he's not pulling the trigger on certain parts. Granted for a bunch of time from Ultimecia. It's all really cool, everybody. Yeah, I watched the heck out of Karna Carvey. What is his name? I used to watch him play Final Fantasy X all the time he was speed running it on Speed Demos Archive. Every Saturday he'd run that, and I would wake up to see where he's at, or just catch it at some point and finish watching the run. I played Final Fantasy 13, Final Fantasy 13-2. I totally get why people hate it. As one-off playthroughs, they were fine for me, but I wouldn't go back to play them. And then I played half of 15, and I just got so wrapped up in side quests, I never finished. That's typically what happens. Like, I got the remaster of Xenoblade Chronicles. I love the heck out of Xenoblade Chronicles when I played it. And I beat it, but I got wrapped up in side quests, but I did eventually beat it. But I got the remaster, and I got halfway through and I couldn't play anymore, because I kept trying to do everything I could do. I'm a hardcore grinder in RPGs. I can't help it. I gotta grind, I gotta get stuff. And I just get so lost in games that I lose track of what I'm actually supposed to do. Not that I forget what I'm supposed to do, I lose the joy of doing it because I've just done so much other stuff. Playing 10, 100% again. It's the last thing I wanted was to play. You get away from me for this grind stuff, then. Don't you tempt me. Yeah, I used to try to get everything I could in every game. The one thing that broke me, and it kind of got me to stop, was Star Ocean
Actually,
4.
the round is faster.
I played Star Ocean 3 on
Renoir's round
PlayStation.
is faster.
Because we did have PlayStation 2 for like Final Fantasy some few
it
things.
just has 27% of chance
But
to do the.
Star Ocean 3 was
the
fine. Star
invincibility.
Ocean 4 had achievements. I don't
They
think at the
use YOLO.
time there were trophies for PlayStation yet. I'm not sure. But
I think
Xbox
YOLO at
had
the end,
achievements. And so I had the guide
like
for
right
Star Ocean 4, and I was playing through it.
at the final fight.
And there was a crap ton of achievements you can get in that game. Not just Xbox achievements, but like achievements in game that you can get.
It's like, do I say it's not
And it was
worth it, at least right now.
nuts. So much stuff to do,
Do
and
you
some
love
of it
that
was
match?
very specific, like hit 7777 damage, with a character, which you can only do at a certain point in the game because you level up like psychos, and I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do all that anymore, and then I don't know. That kind of broke me from then on.
That's perfect.
Okay, so
Or
here, this whole thing with using a potion and post Ifrit and post Fast with the Gallons, all this, you need your HP to be low enough to be able to do Renzokuken, and you definitely want Cypher to finish off the Anacondor because you're gonna get a lot of experience here. You don't want that on your characters.
those are really nice.
The reason that you're teaching Shiva boost is
Really,
you don't want anything
really
else on Shiva.
nice.
You're gonna learn boost, and then you're gonna learn the GF. No, that's not true. That's not true either. You learn boost next because you need to use Shiva on Granaldos. I remember that. You need boost on Shiva so that you can do it on the Granaldos for extra damage, I think. And then I forget what he learns after that. But that's why you learn boost. Card mod, obviously, so you can mod the cards from the card game. He's just running through right now.
PS2? CD2? What is that?
Here, you're going to jump down off the cliff instead of running around.
Oh,
It's faster.
disc 2. Yeah.
Okay, so in that Anacondor fight, that snake fight, you do have to kind of pay attention to what's going on. So one Squall does his Renzokuken, and if it's not in critical HP, you have to get him to critical HP if the snake's not doing it for you. When you do Renzokuken, you're gonna have to pay attention to the HP, the damage you're doing, and you'll kill him, that snake, based off what's happening. So if you did a lot of damage, you'll attack with Cypher and you'll activate his trigger. But if that's not enough to kill him, you gotta finish him with Zell instead of wasting the time, because the snake will mess you up. And yeah, here's Selfie, the adorable little klutz. I could see that, Lily. Lily, you definitely strike me as a 100%er with what we saw you do with the cave. And how you're trying to get all the red jewels in Gaia. Sometimes, Fee, we just don't. We can't help it. We know what we love. And there goes the kneecaps. Oh, what'd they say in French? I remember watching this in French when I took my notes. It's not Geronimo. Oh, I forget. Darn it, was pretty funny. I don't remember. Is it Trails of Cold Steel? That's part of the Trails series? Because I think Sai was playing Trails of the Sky? Maybe? Question mark. No, it wasn't that, Lily. Or was it? I don't remember. Okay then. Now, you'll notice that he hasn't equipped anything on Selfie. And that's because selfie is to be used as a tool and not a person. A lot of this game is manipulating when you attack based off of having someone else attack so that you have an opportunity to input your button commands while someone else's attack animation is going on. Because while you're going through your button commands, the enemy's attack gauge is still filling, but it's not filling while some other character is attacking. So we're going to use selfie here to attack with her nunchucks as a sort of buffer to get you all set up for what you want to do. So first we have the big wedge fight, and then we'll have Elvaray. I say Elvaray, I don't know if people say Elvaret. That's a lot of game, Ben. So here's my problem with playing new games. I don't have the time off stream to do that because I want to make sure that I can bring the good stuff to stream, entertainment wise, as far as me being having everything I need to have up for people to watch and everything and be prepared, yada yada, and thinking of fun events and whatnot. I'd rather think of fun events to do with the community than play a new game for myself offline. Playing a new game online on stream, I could be persuaded to do that, but at the same time, because I know my playstyle and how I like to grind stuff, I know that's not interesting to people to watch. So I feel this pressure to kind of go through a game quickly, and I feel like I'm going to miss out a lot on that game and not enjoy it like I should be able to. And I'll tell you right now, Final Fantasy VII is a prime example of that. Mira was very, very generous, gifted me that game, and I played it on stream for everybody. And I rushed through it. I did. And I missed out on a lot. I missed the one girl character completely. I definitely missed some side quests. I didn't get to go for Ruby Weapon and Emerald Weapon. I high-fived Emerald Weapon, but I didn't get to go to have a chance to beat it. I missed out. And I hate that. So he's complaining here because he got a rough divide because it's slower. So here, like I said, you're using selfie as a buffer. And you're doing that because you're not always going to get Renzakuken, and to get a limit break to have a higher chance, you keep tapping circle, and that just keeps cycling through your character until you actually get it.
Right.
So you just Renzakuken Biggs and Wedge once. That's enough. Elvaray shows up. What's important? What's the number one thing you do whenever you come across a boss? You draw the GF it has if it has one. Do not forget that. So you draw Siren here. Siren not important for damage and whatnot. Siren important for her abilities. You get Siren, you Renzakuken. Twice. Now, what I like about this game is that it goes through the trouble of giving you special limit break animations for bosses. So Squall doesn't normally do that, but he gets this special animation for certain bosses. So he got his second Renzakuken here. This should be enough to kill Elvaray. Ben,
Okay, four. Was about fine.
Alright.
Rip Siren? No. I draw Siren.
Now,
I always draw Siren.
what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go through, we'll go through the Dale exit, the escape.
1, 2, 3.
And I'll stop here for the day after the escape. He just put another character in.
That's the
I don't know why.
15.
You can't just confirm the name there. Oh, he probably
13,
was mashing start and X, and so
8,
he accidentally went X start X, I think.
4, 0.
You're not going to have Siren come up in text boxes, so you don't have to remove any characters from the name. So we have Spider Tank coming up. Kinda awful how you do the escape in this speedrun. No, then we don't get the Quistis Pew Pew cutscene. So, little backstory on the Spider Tank. You can actually kill the thing. I think if you...
The fish fins? Each fish fin.
It's either you knock it down 3 times in a fight and do its HP's worth of damage, or you just do its actual hidden HP's worth of damage in a single fight.
Extra strength.
And if you do that, you'll get a special item. Plus 40% something random item. But you can also actually get AP from it in each fight. And it's 50 AP a fight
The water.
if you do a certain amount of HP's worth of damage. And to do that, you typically have to get Tornado on your weapon and Thundega.
Also, they give us AP, 6
Stuff
AP
like that.
each fight, which is really nice.
From carding in Balamb Garden. Takes a long time.
Without the fish.
So he's running here so that his squall is up. And what you're going to do is you're going to do Limit Break. And your Limit Break is going to knock the Spider Tank down. Let me double check that. No. Okay. So the Limit Break does X amount of damage. Zell attacks.
That's gonna be 10.
Okay, so that's how he's doing it.
Twice, right?
You either cast Thunder, or you just have your characters
Like, I
attack
attacked
3
with
times, and that
Zell
knocks him out.
before the limit break?
Once he falls down, you can run away.
I think so.
And then you gotta get away from this jerk, and not fight him anymore. So each one of these screens has special mechanics on how to not get into a fight, and certain things you need to do to avoid it. That's not actually discussed in the walkthrough, so I'm going to tell you what to do here. Here you're going to run like a psycho. On this screen coming up, you're going to hold down. Or left. One of those two. I'll have to remember it from the speedrun when I go through it. Here, you walk here. Because if you step on that trigger, he's going to jump down, stun you, and then you'll get into a fight.
Yeah, I attacked.
Here, you're just going to run down. There's no walking. Also, to walk in this
That's
game, you hold triangle. Simple as that. You're auto-running
414.
otherwise. It's not a toggle walk and toggle run. It's you hold triangle to walk, otherwise you're just sprinting. Here, you go to the 3rd light post. Wait for him to jump again. You like back up a little bit, wait for him to jump again, and then you run out.
Buenas. Oh,
Here, it's up to you if you want to save the dog or not. You save the dog. I mean, you're going to save the dog, right? You got to save the dog. It doesn't cost any time to do that. He's got to get off the screen anyway. So a little mini scene here. We see the car get destroyed. And then we get to the pub screen.
Lord. Hello, wait.
Well, you're just running down left, Lily. What do you want from me? What do you want from me? Here we get to the pub. And usually you just sprint away. You get to here, you tell, I think it's Team C to withdraw. Yeah, Squad C. But then you go into the pub. What happens when you go into the pub?
Thank you. Thanks.
You send the spider after the squad. And when you do that,
This here.
then it's a free run out of Dale.
It's a
That's kind of messed up.
It is always nice.
So no pew pew scene. You saw the spider tank over on the side there. I don't know if it actually meant that it was pew pewed or if it was just gonna start charging you. I don't know. I know, man, I know. And I know, Lily, right?
I am a man of fucks. Commitment. Hero will. Man of fucks.
Alright.
Okay, let's see.
Now, I will say, one thing that I didn't mention, when he came out of the pub, he walked 2 steps.
14.
That's important. You walk those 2 steps so you don't get into an encounter when you are leaving Dale, because you can still get into an encounter on the last screen.
There's no
one of the last screens. I think you still get into an encounter. I have to, Abelas, for the time. Alright, so it begins. You went through all of Dale. You kept track of everything. You're ready to get the Zell card. Or you didn't keep track of anything, you just go for second try. So you talk to Ma Dink, you go to that room, you back out. Now she'll play cards with you. He's waiting. Then he hits it right there because his timer showed him where to hit it. So that gave him the RNG to have Zell.
Ifrit.
So this fight is scripted. For the most part. You get Zell. Good to go.
Oh, that was perfect movement.
Okay, so you get the card. You're going back to Garden. You ain't gonna walk to Garden. Who walks to Garden? You take a car. It's faster. For the mere price of 3,500. You also can't drive the car in the Garden. So what you want to do is park it right next to the entrance and get out. So that Squall exits on the right side of the vehicle. Right next to the entrance.
Está la manera aleatoria.